Good morning. I tried to use the electronic gavel, but there were so many people in here, I'm sure you could not hear it. Let's try it again. Too many people, okay. Good morning again. Today we're working towards finishing our committee docket. I will remind you that any bills passed by for the day at this point will not be rescheduled. Members should plan for a Thursday evening meeting upon adjournment of the Resources Subcommittee. We will first hear bills that have not been through a subcommittee. Then I will ask staff to present subcommittee recommendations. I also have announcements. 1, bills heard in the subcommittee will not have further public comment. And I want to make sure that the audience is reminded that signage should not obstruct the views of another member in the audience. Now with that, first up, I want to start with, yes, we do want to know who's here. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Have quite a number of names in the queue this morning, and I see Senator Steph, you're up first. There you are.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. So we've all seen it. I'd like to draw your attention to Senate Bill 295, the meals tax, penalties and interest. And
290 what?
294.
Oh, thank you. All right, we're ready.
And I want to start by saying, Madam Chair, thank you for giving us the leave to pass this by a couple of weeks while we worked it out with VML, VACO, the treasurers, and Mr. Lincoln Sanders in the city manager's office here in Richmond. We've been working this with Delegate Dolores McQuinn as well on this bill. And we have a substitute, so if we could, I believe we dropped it online, but if you could pass that around. Oh, it's online? Okay, so the substitute was online. And the substitute does two things, and real simple. There is no financial impact for the Commonwealth. But the two things the substitute does, one, it allows the Director of Finance, so like...
There's a motion and a second that the substitute be agreed to. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Senator DeStaff.
So, Madam Chair, if I may, what it does is allows the Director of Finance at his sole discretion to waive any penalties and interest where he or she determines that it's in the best interest of the locality. And then the second thing it does is it allows the Director of Finance to, if you're a restaurant and you pay your meals tax, it allows that when you pay it to be allocated for the month that you're paying it for. So if you have back interest and penalties or any back shortfall, it doesn't go to that where the new fees and penalties continue to accumulate. What it does, it allows it to be done to the month you think, and you're actually writing your meals tax to. Here in Richmond, we did have some problems. Some folks were assessed with almost $500,000 in interest and penalties without even knowing that they had a problem, whether it was lack of the mail, whether it was lack of another issue, lack of mail delivery. The interest and penalties were 10% and then 10% for penalties. So you were hitting with 10% interest, 10% penalty every single month, month over month, and it was running cumulative where it went up to just over $500,000. So this will allow them to do two things. One, when they pay for a specific month, it'll be able to go to that month, and that'll alleviate any of the future interest and penalties and not accumulate the way it has with every single month after month after month. And then secondly, it'll allow them at their sole discretion to waive the interest and penalties where they determine it's in the best interest of the locality. And I believe we've got some speakers on this in support of it. But again, we worked very closely with VML, VACO, and the Treasurer's Office, and I believe everybody's on the same sheet of music.
Senator DeStaff, your bill, and there's only one other bill that's eligible for public comment this morning. That's your bill and Senator Rouse's bill. But before I go to the public, I would like to hear from Senator Eben.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator DeStaff, I had a question with the language. It says, notwithstanding the foregoing, any voluntary payment made by a taxpayer for meals taxes to a city that utilizes a director of finance. And Madam Chair, my question for Senator DeStef is, are we creating different rules for directors of finance, the administration of taxes, than for cities that don't have a director of finance?
Senator DeStef.
Madam Chair, Senator Eben, we worked with the treasurers to make sure that this would not interfere with the language that's specific to treasurers. This narrows it down to five jurisdictions. I'll have the treasurer correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe it narrows it down to 5 specific jurisdictions.
Any further questions or comment, Senator Eben?
Madam Chair, just a note, this impacts other cities now besides Richmond differently than the rest of the Commonwealth. So there's an administrative, small administrative burden for cities like Lynchburg and the city of Alexandria that utilize a director of finance who are going to get caught up in this. Just want to note that.
Madam Chair, Senator Eben,
DeStef.
this is voluntary, so they can administer it if they want. This allows them the opportunity to do it this way. They don't have to do it this way, but it allows them the opportunity to do it if they'd like to.
Any further questions of members of the committee? Anyone in the audience would like to speak in favor of the bill?
Those online who would like to speak in favor, please raise your hand electronically.
Because of the size of the audience this morning, we'll put you on timer. Each side has 3 minutes, and let me stop and reset and wait until you get to the mic.
Yes, sir.
Each side has 3 minutes. Please be respectful of those behind you.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Mike Byrne. I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Restaurant Association, and I spent the last 6 or 8 weeks collecting those stories in Richmond, which totaled over $2 million of penalties and interest just on my watch. I have 35 stories in a folder where it was just different than anything I've ever seen. Taxes that were through the finance department were allocated to the wrong month, et cetera, et cetera. The stories are overwhelming. And so we met as a restaurant group and are pretty united. So I'd like to let the other speakers do their thing, but thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Next speaker.
Thanks, Mike.
Good morning. My name is Kyle Wingfield. I'm an attorney, a tax attorney at Williams Mullen, and help Senator DeStef with drafting this bill. And under current Virginia law, Code Section 3913, 58.1, 3913, the law requires that when you pay a tax that has to apply, a local tax, it has to apply it to the oldest tax liability. And as Senator DeStef said, if you go in and that taxpayer misses its February payment, for example, and goes and doesn't know about it and goes in and pays its March bill, the taxpayer should have every expectation that it's going to apply to March. Well, the law says otherwise. And so what happens if the taxpayer is unaware is the city will, or the locality will move the payment from March to February, and not only do you get hit with a penalty for February, you also get one with March. And so this can go on and on and on. That's what happened in the city of Richmond. So in putting together this bill, we worked very closely with the Treasurers Association, VML, and VACO to come up with a bill that is narrowly tailored to only meals taxes and only to localities with a finance director. And the reason that we did that instead of singling out a city is you can't under the Virginia Constitution, the uniformity provisions. So, the first part of this, make sure that if you pay your bill in March, it should go to March. And the second, there was just to add clarity that if a locality wants to settle the bill, like in the case of the city of Richmond, it has the authority to do so. So that's the summary.
Thank you. The last 2 speakers, you have 41 seconds left.
My name is Patrick Stamper. I'm a restaurant owner in Richmond, Virginia. I'm here to speak in support of the bill. Been saddled with what appears to be now about a $90,000 tax bill that's interest built up, fees. Over the years, I've collected several $1 million in meals tax, remitted every penny. This is all a result of a lack of transparency, lack of communication. Wasn't even informed that I was late or owed anything for well over a year. And we would like to see this corrected.
Ma'am, if you could just give me your name and,
Certainly. My name is Alex Graff. I own several restaurants in Richmond, Virginia, and I just would like to say I never received any notification from the city of Richmond.
thank you. Senator D. Staff?
Madam Chair,
I need, are there others in the public who would like to speak either for or against the bill? I do have inquiry of a member of the committee, Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess it's maybe a question of council. As I read the bill, and maybe others in local government may take a look at this, as it's currently read, the authority provided is only to cities. However, you've not included in this bill county executive form of government, others that have directors that are not cities. And so if the policy is trying to be applied across the Commonwealth, you'd need to change city to locality, I believe, to deal with the issues that you're trying to address. And Madam Chair, I don't know if there's comment in relation to if those localities that have different forms of government that also do not have treasurers want this policy applied or not.
Yeah, I mean, so the way that we tailored the bill was just to it was just to cities with finance directors. I'm not sure I understood.
So, Madam Chair,
Senator McPike?
the question was really to our council.
Staff counsel?
Madam Chair, Senator McPike, the bill does just specify cities with a director of finance, so it would not apply to those with a different form of government and a different finance administrations.
We tried to narrow the bill or tailor it as
We have
narrowly as
someone
possible.
else who wants to give comments?
okay, address that.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair and Senator McPike. We initially had a lot of concerns with the introduced version because we felt that it swept in jurisdictions where meals tax collection has not been a problem. We have not heard of widespread or systematic issues in counties, and so we were comfortable with the bill as it came to you today because counties were not included, and we would prefer to have them out.
Madam Chair,
So-
you say who you were.
Senator D.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Katie Boyle with the Virginia Association of
Katie,
Counties.
couldn't the locality take care of this problem themselves if they have it?
My understanding is that the city has the city of Richmond, which is the precipitating issue here, has taken some serious strides towards prospectively and also retrospectively addressing the issues that precipitated this bill. Thank you.
There's someone from the city here. Could you please come forward? Good morning, Suzanne.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Suzette Denslow with the City of Richmond. And we've worked on this bill. We've been trying to take a whole lot of efforts to make this right. And we think this language would help us make some more change.
Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, if I could just kind of wrap
Senator
that
D. Staff,
up with
if
the
you
young
could wrap
lady.
it up, I need to come to the committee for a motion.
And Madam Chair, the second piece of this allows them the clarifying language they need. So at their discretion, the discretion of the finance, director of finance, that he can waive the interest and penalties. So it truly clarifies the law that allows them to do this. And we've spent a lot of time and effort with VML, VACO, the Treasurers Association, and the City of Richmond to make sure that they're able to do this and right the mistake that happened previously. And this clarifies the language to do that, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator D. Staff. At this time, I want to turn the attention back to the committee. Any questions, comments, motions? Senator Favola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to be clear. Is this going to be a tool that cities would have to use, or is it discretionary?
Madam Chair, Senator Favola, this
Not
is
you, Staff.
discretionary, it's perspective, so they can say, we do want to do this or we don't want to do this, but it allows them the opportunity and flexibility to where there's dealing with some antiquated systems, where there's major issues, that they can go in and say, hey, there's a mistake, we understand there's a mistake, this allows us the opportunity to fix it, but it's up to us if we want to adopt this or not.
Senator Eben.
Just for council or for the staff, I read the part on lines 53 and 54, or 51 to 54 as voluntary, but it seems to me that it's going to require on lines 17 to 23 a systems change, potential systems change for cities who have this kind of collection. Is that correct? That it requires it, or is it all voluntary for our staff?
Staff attorney.
Madam Chair, the discretionary provisions are in the second part of the bill in 58.1-3980. The first portion says any voluntary payment made by a taxpayer, ... will be applied by the locality. I don't see any discretionary language in that first component.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Attention back to the committee. Senator
Madam Chair.
Deeds.
Madam Chair, I think we were all embarrassed by what we read about the city of Richmond. And I don't want to make any excuses for the city, but localities have the ability to fix this problem. And I think this is a hammer aimed at one locality, then when we ought to be legislating statewide. This is going to affect one type of government, and I just don't think it's good policy. I'm going to move to PBI the bill.
There's a motion? Second. And a second that the bill be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically. Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 10, noes 5.
Ayes 10, noes 5. The bill will be passed by indefinitely.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Senator D. Staff. In the queue, I have, in this order, Senator Durant, Senator Head, Senator Van Valkenburg, Senator Ed, and Senator Rouse. So if you need to step out and come back while other bills are being heard, I just want you to know the order that you're in. Again, I need Senator D. Staff out of the queue. I need Durant, Head, Valkenburg, Ed, Russ, and Stanley. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Senate Bill 408 seeks to reduce the fees for registration for charitable organizations. Madam Chair, members of the committee, what's happened is that the fees that have been collected what we've found is that there's a surplus right now. It's grown to about around $900,000 a year. So that money's just been sitting there. Not a lot. By statute, there's not any discretion to use outside. It's only for the administration of the Virginia Solicitation of Contributions Act. So this is seeking to reduce some of the fees that are collected so that it can get more in line. And it's my understanding that because of with this reduction, they're still going to be able to operate the administration of that agency and still having, there's still a surplus, so they'll be in good shape for, I'm told, for several years to come. So it's just getting a little more in line with what's needed in order to operate.
Thank you, Senator Durant. Your bill is not eligible for public comment. Any questions, comments, or motions by members of the committee?
Substitute motion, Madam Chair.
Substitute motion is on the floor by Senator Dees.
Substitute motion to PBI. This bill will reduce our general fund, reduce revenue by $866,000 non-general fund every year, and the net loss will exceed $300,000 a year annual within the next 10 years.
It's been moved and second that the bill be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically. Yea or nay?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ayes 10, noes 5.
Ayes 10, noes 5. The bill will be passed by indefinitely. Good morning, Senator Head.
Good morning, Madam Chairman. We've got Senate Bill 679.
Turn your attention to Senate Bill 679.
And this, you should have the substitute that came from the Committee on
Could I
Local
get a motion on
Government.
the substitute? So moved. It's been moved. Second, that the substitute be agreed to. All in favor, say aye. Substitute's agreed to. Senator Head.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Could we pause for 1 second, please?
This, what this does after the incorporation.
Hold one second, Senator Head. We need to turn to staff attorney.
We don't have a sub.
We don't have a sub.
Yeah, so We don't need to adopt a substitute, what we have.
It was already adopted in the previous
Okay,
committee.
so your sub was already adopted, so we will
Yes, ma'am.
proceed with your bill as is, so we can just
So,
strike
yes, ma'am.
anything.
With this was,
Senator
this bill seeks to extend the time frame for enterprise zones. The source for the bill was that because of COVID, there were several enterprise zones that were underway, but we lost a bunch of time. And this, the bill that is initially filed this extended those enterprise zones for an additional 4-year period without affecting any of the renewal time. Senator Mulcahy's bill also added some additional 5-year extensions to enterprise zones that are optional. And it is noisy out there. And it added some additional 5-year extensions that are optional if there's a reason for them to be extended. This, the enterprise zones, there should be no fiscal impact because this doesn't allow anybody to get any extension on the deal that they were offered. And of course, anything that an enterprise zone brings in and any incentives is new business that is not already revenue that's there. And we're just trying to do everything we can to further economic development and get a lot of these localities back on their feet after COVID. And that was the purpose for the bill. So.
Senator Favola, question? No, I have a motion. Waiting for your motion.
Okay, since this has no fiscal impact. Since this has no fiscal impact, and it seems to be a continuation of something that, as I understand, has been working, the enterprise zones, I will move that we report the bill.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically, yea or nay.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill passed. Thank you, Senator Head. Next in my queue, I have Senator Van Valkenburg.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. This is Senate Bill 313. Bill does two things. One is it directs the Commissioner of EDAX to create a mandatory disclosure form to include in marketing sales of installation of solar and energy facilities, and to be included in any contract between the seller and consumer, and it asks them to create a group to look at if we should do more around consumer protection. This bill came to me because a man's house in my neighborhood set on fire because the solar panels, and that's happened across the state, which is why we've had in the House side someone from Norfolk put in the bill. I know Senator Serville in Northern Virginia has had interest in the bill. And so as this kind of solar field builds out, we need to have a little bit of consumer protection. This would create a one-page disclosure. It's modeled after South Carolina and what they did down there. And then the work group would be to see if we needed to do anything else. That's the bill.
That's the bill. Committee. Questions?
Move to report.
It has been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. That's Senate Bill 313. All in favor, please designate electronically, yea or nay.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported. Thank you, Senator Vaughn.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Aird, you're next in queue.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I have two
Good
bills
morning.
before you. Which would you like to take first? Pause for 1 second.
Pause 1 second, please. She said all of your bills are in subcommittee and they will be handled in subcommittee rather than full.
The subcommittee report.
In the subcommittee report, that is.
Thank you.
That's correct.
Hold on 1 second.
On the list, I've got all other resources. I apologize.
Okay. We need to suspend for just a second. Going to call on staff.
Madam Chair, we're going to skip now to Senate Bill 483, which was heard in the Resources Subcommittee. This is Senator Aird's bill that relates to indoor agriculture equipment and machinery and an exemption from tangible personal property. The subcommittee made no recommendation at that time.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Again, before you is Senate Bill 483. And just so that the full committee understands the state of the bill, it was submitted with no recommendation to allow for the Commissioner of Revenue from Chesterfield County to have the opportunity to clarify why this clarification is necessary for the farm equipment that we're asking to be exempt, as existing law already allows for.
Madam Chair.
Senator Deeds.
You know, as I reread this bill after the subcommittee met and gathered some more information, it affects more than just Chesterfield County, and this is simply clarifying language, and so I'm going to move to report the bill.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported. You walked in just in time.
I got scared for a moment.
Okay, you have Senate Bill 343.
Yes, Madam Chair. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Good morning again.
Virginia is fortunate to be home to the largest number of military personnel in the country, with the greatest concentration being in Hampton Roads in Northern Virginia. According to the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation, in fiscal year 2021, there were over 21,000 active duty personnel working in the city of Virginia Beach alone. Military-centered communities throughout the Commonwealth often have unique local needs and at times require targeted resources to ensure these communities can care for our military personnel and their families. In areas with a large number of assigned personnel but no large military installation, such as the city of Newport News and Albemarle County, these needs become particularly acute as service members do not have readily available access to services like commissaries, health centers, post exchanges, MWR centers, and other amenities. SB 343 would give localities the flexibility to attract businesses and services to military-centered communities and is one more tool that can improve the quality of life of military personnel assigned nearby. It would authorize localities to establish specific military-centered community zones. This will allow localities to offer unique benefits to help attract economic development tailored to the needs of our service members and their families. Such benefits could be reduction of permitting fees, reduction in user fees, reduction in gross receipt taxes, enabling economic incentive grants. SB 343 is modeled after the existing defense production zone, which offers similar local flexibility for localities looking to attract defense contractors and will provide the same flexibility for military-centered communities. This legislation is only permissive, does not require anything of localities, and has no fiscal impact to the state. SB 343 will help localities provide a better quality of life for service members while stationed in Virginia and will improve Virginia's ability to retain transitioning military in the future, Madam President. Madam Chair. And that is the bill before you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Favola, you have a question?
Yes, Madam Chair. My question is, would this zone, I guess, offer the same benefits that an enterprise zone currently offers? Or any other tool, but we just voted for something that's not going to allow new enterprise zones for the next number of years.
Senator Rouse.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Senator Favola. Existing local economic development programs are very restrictive of what type incentives they can be offered with the designated zones. Localities do not have the flexibility to offer unique incentives in certain areas because once they set the precedent in one part of a locality, they will have to follow it in others. So many military-centered communities have unique challenges because of the transient nature of the population, but it creates more hurdles for business considering localities there, and it will take up unique incentives to encourage business to scale those hurdles. This bill just allows localities to offer those unique incentives for this very specific purpose without obligating themselves to offer them to any other business in any other part of the locality. So it's very specific legislation.
Thank you for that explanation, Senator Rouse. Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just speaking to the bill briefly, I want to thank Senator Rouse for bringing the bill. Some of those folks in here may or may not know, but we have an opportunity to put this to use right away with over in Ravenna Station by UVA. The Army has its JAG school there, but they're talking about moving a bunch of intelligence, and there was a process where the county of Albemarle actually bought the surrounding, I think it's 150 some odd acres around that facility where the intelligence headquarters is right now at Ravenna Station, and this will allow them to turn that into that zone. And as the Department of Defense looks to scale back different areas and different posts through means almost like BRAC, it's going to be important that we can expand the operational readiness of our communities and bring those missions to our bases that we have currently. So this will be a big tool in the toolbox. Thank you, Senator Rouse.
Thank you, Senator Reeves. Back to you, Senator Rouse.
Madam Chair, we also have.
I have Senator Favola back in queue again, if you would suspend just for a
I
second.
was just going to make a motion, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, also just have supporters here to speak to the bill. I know this was one of the only bills.
You know what? It would be real good if you would just let them vote while you're still.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I know you are eligible for public comment, but it sounds like you got this committee going your way.
Yes, ma'am. Let's keep it
Senator
going.
Favola. It's been moved and probably second that the bill be reported, Senator Rouse.
Thank
All
you.
in favor, please designate it electronically, yea or nay.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. How do you like that, Senator Rouse?
I love it. Thank you, Madam
Have a
Chair,
good day.
members of the committee.
Thank you. Next in queue is Senator Stanley.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
Which bill would you like to kill first?
You choose.
Got 17 on the list.
All right, it will be
Senator
Senator
Stanley.
Salim's bill. 17, Madam Chair.
That'll be fine.
Madam Chair, there was a substitute that was offered and accepted in the local government, which changes what the original aim of the bill was. The aim of the bill is the same, but I met with a very capable lobbyist who kind of demonstrated how this can be better for the localities. So the substitute in Senate Bill 17 does this simple thing. We have 14 short tracks that are historical short tracks. Virginia was the start of what became stock car racing and then NASCAR racing. And these are very historical and good places in localities, rural areas, that depend on that economy for a lot of not only preservation of the races themselves, because these are grassroots usually, but also the surrounding economy as well. So what Senate Bill 17, the substitute, does is this. In order to stimulate real property improvements and new job creation in the area, this would amend 59.1-542.1 to create local incentives. It would be permissive to allow localities to propose local incentives that would address the economic conditions surrounding those racetracks. Those incentives would also necessarily and may include reduction of permit fees, reduction of user fees, reduction of business, professional, occupational license taxes that the locals collect, partial exemption from taxation of substantially rehabilitated real estate pursuant to 58.13221, and then, of course, the duration of those incentives must conform with the Constitution of Virginia and the United States. Local incentives can also include regulatory flexibility, special zoning districts, permit process reforms, exemptions from local ordinances, or any other public incentive that are binding on the locality. So this would empower the locality to create the criteria in which local incentives could be allowed. And we have tracks, whether it's South Boston, Langley, Virginia. We have it in Ashland. We have tracks all over, even in Southwest Virginia, Lonesome Pine. We have it in Radford. And that would allow those local governments to determine from themselves, in order to preserve these tracks so they don't go away and preserve the sport, which is so important at the grassroots level, to actually kind of put a cocoon around them and incentivize people that own them and then race at them as well. And that's the bill, Madam Chair.
That's the bill. Any questions, comments? Motion from member of the committee, Senator Hashmi?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few questions for the patron. I We already have in Virginia a process by which we have the designation for historic landmarks, historic sites, and I'm just concerned that with this legislation we are bypassing the process and the authority that's already established and that's set in place for listing historic properties on the Virginia Landmark Register. And I'm also concerned that we might be setting up a precedent for other such actions around properties, ineligible properties really, that are taking on this designation of historic landmarks. So I'm curious about the conversations you might have had with organizations and leadership in or groups such as Preservation Virginia, with the folks that manage the Virginia Landmark Register. Are we creating a new process rather than following the designated process that we already have established?
Madam Chair, I'd answer the senator, my friend, by saying that was the old bill. This is not the bill now. This bill that is a substitute, which was adopted in the local government committee, actually removes the historic landmark designation entirely, removes the enterprise zones. What this does now is basically create, under subsection A, a locality that's home to a motorsports facility, can allow these incentives. So I did have conversations with the stakeholders, Historical Society. You know, they brought concerns that, you know, the track in Martinsville, which is a huge venue. Think about it this way. We have 2 races a year. It's like having 2 Super Bowls in Virginia. And Bristol may be across the line just outside of Virginia, but it's like having 2 Super Bowls there, 2 Super Bowls here in Richmond. But what they noted to me, and I took to heart, was that when they repave the track or when they put the new stands in, it's not in its historical form. It's been modernized, so that wouldn't qualify. So that's why, after having that conversation with them, I decided for myself to eliminate that and the enterprise zones and all of that, and then turn this into a local incentive bill that will actually create, hopefully, a public-private partnership between the track owner, the race teams, and the local government itself. Because I think ultimately it's on them, not us, to preserve these tracks, and they should be empowered to create incentives so that we keep these tracks moving and running and going in Virginia. The great young racers are raised on these tracks, like Southside Speedway is being saved here just south in Chesterfield. You know, Denny Hamlin, when he was a young man, who is now one of the best race car drivers in NASCAR, won track championships there. In Southside Speedway, in my mind, one of my heroes, Wendell Scott, won his first track championship there. He's the Jackie Robinson of NASCAR, broke the color barrier. These places are historic in my mind, and I think they should be historic in others' mind. But I think the focus needs to be, rather than just acknowledging the historic nature, let's try to incentivize the localities to preserve them so that the next Wendell Scott can race on that track and become a champion.
Senator Vavola, you have a question?
Yes, Madam Chair, and maybe this is for General Counsel, but from my local government days, as I recall, localities could reduce permit fees and user fees, and I know that there was some discussion on the application of business and professional occupancy taxes. So the question is, can General Counsel confirm that local government can already provide these incentives or other incentives that they may so wish to provide?
Senator Stanley.
Oh, I'd love to be local counsel, but I'll leave it to the lawyer.
Madam Chair, Senator Favola, I do believe most of these fees and tax exemptions are allowed. The main issue would be if it was property taxes, and I'm not seeing those in there, so, yeah.
Madam Chair, I'd only add, but if they don't know, and especially if the statute doesn't set forth that, then maybe they wouldn't be thinking in the way that we want them to think. We're trying to preserve a great part of Virginia history here and also preserve a grassroots sport which needs that. And we too often see these racetracks turn into grazed over and developed, and some of them need to be saved, and I think this will do that.
There's a motion. There's a motion and a second to report.
I have a substitute motion.
There's a substitute motion.
That this be PBI'd.
Substitute motion takes precedence. Did I get a second? It's been moved and seconded that the bill be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 4, noes 11.
It's been moved and properly seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, designate electronically.
Ayes 14, noes 1.
Ayes 14, noes 1, the bill is reported. Senator Stanley, quite contrary to what you believe.
I'm going to go now?
You may-
bills are in subcommittees.
You have a pass to go now.
Thank you.
You very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Always great to see you.
Thank you as well. We will save the committee bills for last after we hear from the patrons of those in the audience. And we've already heard from Senator Aird. So next on my list is Senator Senator Tyler. You're going to give the report, Resource Committee report. This is going to be painless.
Okay. Madam Chair, the Resources Subcommittee report is on the green papers for members. The first bill, Senate Bill 628, Senator Aird, relates to eligible host cities for casino gaming, and it would remove Richmond and add Petersburg. The subcommittee recommends reporting 4 yes, 0 no.
You've heard the motion in a second that the bill be reported. All in favor, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported. Thank you, Senator Aird.
Tyler? Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 540, Senator Bagby, relating to exemptions for illegal gambling. This bill was passed by for the day in the subcommittee, and it's now before the committee, Madam Chair. And Madam Chair, there is a committee's amendment.
Could we have a report on, could I have a motion on the committee amendment? It's been moved and seconded that it be reported. All in favor?
Amendment adopted.
That the amendment be adopted. All in favor say aye. Aye. Amendment is adopted.
What is it? What is it?
Tyler, Staff Attorney, we want to know what the amendment says.
Madam Chair, the amendment would just add the word data center before the word equipment, specifying the type of equipment we're talking about here.
Move to report.
It's been moved and seconded with the amendment that the bill be reported. All in favor, designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill is reported with the amendment. Tyler.
Next bill, Senate Bill 541, Senator Bagby. This is related to also casino gaming by removing the city of Richmond as an eligible host city. It recommends reporting 4 yes, 0 no.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill is reported. Tyler.
Madam Chair, the next bill is Senate Bill 689, Senator Craig. This relates to cruise ship gaming in the offshore waters of the Commonwealth. The subcommittee recommends continuing the bill with a letter to the Joint Subcommittee on the Virginia Gaming Commission to study. 4 yes, 0 no.
You've heard the report.
So I move to carry the bill over consistent with subcommittee's recommendation.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be carried over. All in favor, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be continued. Carried over.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 675, Senator Marsden, relating to eligible host localities for casino gaming. This bill would add Fairfax County and Petersburg to the list of eligible host localities while removing the city of Richmond. The subcommittee recommends continuing the bill 4 yes, 0 no.
Consistent with that recommendation, I'll move to carry the bill over.
It's been moved and seconded.
Madam
The bill
Chair.
be carried over. Senator Favola.
I'm Senator
McPike.
Boysko.
I see Senator McPike in the queue first, and then Senator Boysko. I see McPike and Boysko.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to, just for the record, this past weekend, there were hundreds and hundreds of people in my community who have expressed disappointment and disagreement with this proposal, and I have a substitute motion that would PBI the bill.
Second.
You heard the motion and a second that the bill be passed by indefinitely.
Madam Chair.
Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just note, I know there's some discussion around JLARC taking a look at it, but the initial 2019 report did highlight that at least the revenue impacts and dynamics within Northern Virginia for consideration of the committee, which is fairly substantial.
Senator Marston and Q.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Fairfax County did not take a position against this legislation. They had certainly some concerns around process issues, but this is a tremendous revenue package for the state that needs to be considered as a possibility. It's nothing but local option to decide whether they want a referendum or not, to do their own analytics, and this needs to be continued to work with this. I've continued to speak with the County Board of Supervisors, and this is something that they will take on responsibly and look at. But there aren't many bills, Madam Chair, coming before this subcommittee that offers this much potential revenue to the Commonwealth of Virginia in a year and a time when our revenues are short. And this absolutely has to be considered, and I would urge people to vote against the motion to PBI.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair. Senator Servo is in the queue next, and then Senator Servo, and then Senator Boysko.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This was studied. It was studied in 2019, and the study showed that a Northern Virginia casino would generate more revenue for the state than the bottom 3 casinos combined. So it has been studied. It has been looked at. The MGM casino opened across the river in 2016, and you and me, Madam Chairman, wrote a column about it. That casino has now become the most profitable asset in MGM's portfolio in America because it's doing over $1 billion of revenue. A Fairfax casino would do the same amount. It would generate about $200 million in state in casino gaming taxes plus local taxes for Fairfax County, which would save Fairfax County taxpayers on average about $500 or $600 a year, including the people in my district. And obviously there's a disagreement within the county about it, but I can tell you that in my part of the county, where we live right across the river from one of these, the people in my part of the county don't feel the same way as people in the other part of the county. And that's obviously, this legislature can mediate a dispute between the different parts of a jurisdiction, but the Board of Supervisors has not said no. They've said they want some changes to it, and they want to talk about it. And I think we owe them a conversation. This also has massive benefit to the Commonwealth, not just to the locality. The School Construction Fund has over $1 billion that's gone through it because of the bill that you helped pass, Madam Chairman, and this would really help that bill and help schools all around the state as well, and I think we need to continue this dialogue.
In queue, Senator Boysko, and then Senator Favola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just would point out that the silver line where this bill is proposed to be putting the casino is Class A, top real estate in the county. This is where the Fortune 500 companies have come to make their homes. This is where we have focused our economic development for years, not just in the past year, but for the past 20 years, have been working with our community members to design plans with community input that align with top Fortune 500 companies, top of the line stuff. If we were to insert ourselves from the General Assembly and say, you have to put your casino in this line, as this bill states, that is counter to what the planning process has been in the state. It disrespects the efforts that all of the people in the community have put their time and energy into. It is not something that I believe the Fortune 500s would like to have in the middle of their community. If one of my colleagues would like to have a casino in their part of the county, they're welcome to bring a bill next year. But if the people in my community and in my colleague Senator Salim's community wanted it, we would have been carrying this bill, and we're not, because we have heard all year long. From last summer, I had a doctor's appointment when I was sick. He said, before he even asked me how I was, we don't want a casino in our community. This is not going to be good for us. We don't want it here. I ask that my colleagues respect the will of the neighbors that I have. And as I said, I've heard from thousands of my constituents. Some of them are here in the room today. We ask that we pass the bill by, and I renew my motion.
In queue, Senator Favola and Senator Marston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will just note, I think Senator Boysko gave a great explanation on the local perspective here. But as you know, we passed legislation that allowed for casinos, I think it was 2 years ago, and we identified 5 jurisdictions. And those jurisdictions wanted that economic bounce. They wanted to plan for it. They wanted the revenue that was going to come from it. And they asked the General Assembly to please include them in the legislation. And we laid out a framework in that legislation. What this bill does is it creates new legislation with new criteria that's unique to a certain neighborhood, not just the county, but a certain neighborhood within Fairfax County. It is going to set a precedent for every other jurisdiction in the Commonwealth to come in with specific criteria to their location so they can offset perhaps their loss in revenue because of office vacancy rates or higher unemployment than expected, whatever. But this would set a precedent that is very different from our current framework. And I don't want to go down that path. And that's part of the reason, coupled with the comments that, of course, Senator Boysko has just made, that's one of the reasons, a big reason why I feel I have to vote no on this. And let me just say to those who are not completely familiar with our process, a vote to continue this is really a vote to put it off. It would have to come back next year if the patron so chose. We would go through another set of hearings. So it in no way gives this additional bounce. It is almost as effective as saying we are going to PBI it for this year. So I just want the audience to understand that whatever motion passes, this will be dead for the year, whether we carry it over or we PBI it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Marston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Circumstances change. The pandemic has really hit Fairfax County extremely hard. The report I get from the Tysons areas, there's 17% of the buildings are unleased, and 50% of those that are leased are not, the space is not occupied. We're in a circumstance where metro ridership is down significantly. Our bills are going to be going up. And this is nothing but democracy. It's allowing local control of the process from here on out to do their own analytics, their own examination of this to determine whether they want to go down this road. And that's up to them. I'm neutral on that. That's for the local government to decide. No neighborhood ever wants any kind of development, really. We all know that. Not unless it's someplace else in the jurisdiction. There's always traffic concerns and this kind of concern and that kind of concern. But sometimes we have to act as a county, not just as a neighborhood, in terms of looking at these things. And that just goes to referendum, the purest form of democracy. Let the people decide. But circumstances have changed. In Fairfax County, the commercial real estate loss of revenue that we're experiencing and the increased price we're going to have for Metro. This thing also proposes a conference center that will help reduce emplaning costs at Dulles Airport, bring people in to use the Tysons Corner Mall, to use the casino, to be at a conference. There's no reason right now for people to come to Fairfax County. And what this bill would do, if it's done appropriately, we don't get tourism. We don't get visitors coming in. The conference center is something that the county has lacked for years. This is something that we absolutely need to have to continue Fairfax County. We've lost 10 points on our LCI score. We're starting to take more money from the state pie. I want to reverse that. I want the county to be a leader in helping this state, and we absolutely need to defeat this motion to pass the bill by.
Senator Vovola, you're still in queue unless you've...
My apologies, Madam Chair.
Okay, I believe now that the current motion is to pass the bill by indefinitely, and I think we had a second. Senator Eben? You've heard the motion? All in favor of passing by indefinitely? Record your votes.
Ayes 5, noes 9, 1 abstention.
Ayes 5, ayes, noes, 1 abstention. That motion fails.
How many motions carry over?
Senator Deeds has a motion to carry the bill over, which was the previous motion in subcommittee. And there was a second. And all in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 13, noes 2.
Ayes 13, noes 2. The bill is carried over. We will suspend for a moment while, if members would like to remove from the audience. If not, we will go on to the rest of the report. Tyler?
Madam Chair, the next bill is 344, Senator Reeves, related to charitable gaming. The bill has passed by for the day, and I believe Senator Reeves now has a substitute for the bill.
Senator Reeves, could you please give us your substitute?
Yes, Madam Chair. On 344, that's the charitable cleanup bill. It does a couple of things. One, the current, first I'd move the substitute, Madam Chair.
You've heard the motion that the substitute be agreed to. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Noes have the same right. Senator Reeves?
So what the substitute does now, it's been scaled back tremendously. It's going to allow the charitable social organizations to use some of the funds to put on roofs, upkeep of the building, and pay for some of their employees to help run the games.
Senator Reeves?
Yep.
Could you suspend just for a moment while we get the committee substitute? Get a motion on that? Or is it already, Tyler, you already have it? We already adopted it. She said we've already adopted that, but there's also a committee substitute. Okay. Senator Reeves. Senator Reeves?
Madam Chair, I guess I'm confused. I sent a substitute late last night that I have a copy in front of me, but I think it's different than what we just adopted. Can I take a pause to talk to council?
Why don't you explain both of them to us, because the one you sent to me last night I like better.
Okay. All right, Madam Chair. One that I know it's in both is we left off the United States Marine Corps, one of their charitable 501c4s. It was an inadvertent. We didn't know they even existed in Marine Corps League as far as they were doing charitable gaming. So I know that's in both. But the latest version that I have allows the social quarters to be the charitable organizations to use those use of proceeds to help fix their buildings and pay some of their employees. And then the other thing it did was it allowed some newer games to be played, and that was it. We took all the paragraph 17 that, Madam Chair, you were concerned about. That's gone. So there was just a couple of other things that were in there, but I'd have to give a council to find out the two little differences that we have.
Madam Chair, Senator Reeves, the substitute that Senator Reeves described is one. The committee substitute only adds this new organization to the definition of qualified social organization. It removes all other components of the bill.
So, Madam Chair,
Senator,
if I could ask somebody,
Senator Deeds.
this had a negative $866,000 fiscal impact annually before. What's the fiscal impact now with the substitute?
Madam Chair,
we're
Senator
going to
Deeds.
turn to staff for that response.
Zero.
Senator Lucas, Senator Dietz, the fiscal impact has been removed, I believe, in both of the substitute bills.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could just add, those charitable organizations have been working over a year to help us loosen the net a little bit, to allow them those use of proceeds. It's a real big deal for our VSOs, and I call them the animal kingdom, the elks, the moose, all of those organizations. I mean, we can add that. I can put a floor amendment on the floor and add those two things to it. It doesn't have a fiscal impact. It just allows them the ability to use those proceeds. Madam Chair, I can fix it in here, or we can fix it. I can put it in
That's
the
your
floor.
motion?
Madam Chair, it's all-
The patron substitute is before us, so that's the one we're dealing with now.
and that has no fiscal impact. Is that correct?
I would defer to fiscal staff on that one.
Senator Lucas, Senator Deeds, I would need to verify with the agency that the change in the use of proceeds doesn't change the amount that ultimately then would be paid in the fees, because it's kind of a waterfall effect. The fee is paid against the amount that remains after the use of proceeds. I don't believe that that would be something that the agency would be able to quantify. So it might have a slight fiscal impact, but probably not a quantifiable one.
Thank you. Well, I think we have a motion on the floor, but I think we have Senator McPike and Q who would like to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just add that the patron has done a tremendous amount of work in our gaming sub and joint work between members and charities over the last year to really narrow this down and get this right and get what the charities are really struggling to achieve with this. And I think he's figured out a way to thread the needle on it and support the bill.
Unless I'm mistaken, I think we have a motion and a second to support Senate Bill 344 with the substitute. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, noes 0. Senate Bill 344 will be reported with the substitute. Thank you. Tyler.
Madam Chair, the next bill is Senate Bill 345, Senator Reeves, related to limiting local referendums for casino gaming. The subcommittee's recommendation is for Senator Reeves' bill to be incorporated into Senate Bill 628 aired, which we've already passed. So we just need to incorporate it, Madam Chair.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly seconded that the bills be incorporated. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. No, same right? Okay, it's incorporated. Now we need a motion. We need a recorded vote. All in favor of that motion, please designate yes or no. There we have it.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no, 0. The bills have been incorporated.
Madam Chair, the next bill is Senate Bill 212, Senator Rouse, related to the Virginia Small Business Economic Development Act. The bill was passed by for the day in the subcommittee for further consideration. The next bill is Senate Bill 124, Senator Van Volkenburg. This relates to permitting sports betting on Virginia college sports. The subcommittee recommends continuing the bill 4 yes, 0 no.
It's been moved.
Second.
And second that the bill, we're still on the incorporated bill?
Carry over, right?
This one needs the bill. This is Senate Bill 124? Okay, all right. You've heard the motion. All in favor, please designate electronically. Thank you. Tyler.
Madam Chair, the next bill is Senate Bill 651, Carol Foy, relating to the military benefits income tax subtraction. The subcommittee recommends passing by indefinitely 4 yes, 0 no.
Committee recommendation is to pass by indefinitely. You have a motion and a second. All in favor, please designate electronically.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. The bill will be passed by indefinitely. Tyler.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 61, Senator Craig, relates to an income tax subtraction for firefighter benefits. The subcommittee recommends continuing the bill 4 yes, 0 no.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly seconded that the bill will be continued. All in favor, please designate electronically.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. The bill will be continued.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 662, Senator Peake, relates to state police retirement benefits income tax subtraction. The subcommittee recommends continuing the bill 4 yes, 0 no.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be continued. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. The bill will be continued.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 10, Senator Reeves, relates to military retirement benefits income tax subtraction. The subcommittee recommends continuing the bill 4 yes, 0 no.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be continued. All in favor, please designate electronically.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. The bill will be continued.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 108, Senator Suderline, relates to the standard deduction. The subcommittee recommends continuing the bill 3 yes, 1 no.
You've heard the report, and you heard the motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. Senate Bill 105 will be continued.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 451, Senator Marsden, relates to distribution of corporate income tax revenue to state parks. The subcommittee recommends continuing the bill 4 yes, 0 no.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. The bill be continued. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. The bill will be continued.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 632, Senator Stewart, relates to taxation. This is the governor's taxation plan as introduced in House Bill and Senate Bill 30. The subcommittee recommends continuing the bill 4 yes, 0 no.
You've heard the report
So moved.
and a motion. Senator Favola, you're in queue. Do you have a question? No. Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded that the bill be continued. All in favor, please designate electronically.
Ayes 14, noes 1.
Ayes 14, noes 1. The bill will be continued.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 103, Senator Sturtevant, relating to the motor vehicle sales and use tax exemption for vehicles transferred between limited liability companies. The subcommittee recommends passing by indefinitely 3 yes, 1 no.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 14, noes 1.
Ayes 14, noes 1. The bill will be passed by indefinitely.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 126, Senator Craig, relates to personal property tax relief. The subcommittee recommends continuing the bill 4 yes, 0 no.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be continued. All in favor of that motion on Senate Bill 126, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be continued.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 399, Senator McDougall, relates to the 6-year financial plan. The subcommittee recommends reporting 4 yes, 0 no.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported.
Madam Chair, the final bill is Senate Bill 62, Senator Stanley, related to the duties of New College Institute. The subcommittee recommends continuing the bill 3 yes, 1 no.
So moved.
You've heard the report. You've heard the motion. All in favor, please designate electronically.
Ayes 14, noes 1.
Ayes 14, noes 1. The bill will be continued. Thank you, Tyler. We have next up the VRS-related bills. April.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first bill, Senate Bill 130 from Senator Craig, related to Virginia Retirement System service retirement. It provided that members of SPORS or VALers who are eligible for hazardous duty supplement would receive that supplement amount from the date of retirement without limits. Under current law, the supplement is only allowed from the date of retirement until the member's retirement age under federal Social Security laws and or the member's 65th birthday, depending on the plan. Because of the fiscal impact and the increase of the underfunded liability of $150 million, the subcommittee recommends PBI 4-0.
You heard the report. You've heard the motion. All in favor, please designate electronically. April.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 548, Senator Craig's bill. This related to return to work or break-in service. This would reduce the required break-in service from 6 months to 1 month for a teacher, bus driver, special ed student support instructor, or law enforcement officer between retirement and returning to full-time employment to continue receiving the pension under VRS. Based on the fact that there was a previous bill, I believe Madam Chair's bill, that did 6 months last year, and because this, the soonness of the implementation, the subcommittee recommended carrying over the bill 4-0.
You've heard the report and a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically, yea or nay.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0, the bill will be continued.
Madam Chair, next we have two bills that were identical, Senate Bill 328, Senator Jordan's bill, and Senate Bill 472, Senator Obenshain's bill. They both related to enhanced retirement benefits for 911 dispatchers. Because they're identical, the recommendation was to incorporate Senate Bill 472 into Senate Bill 328. However, they're based on the fact that they wanted further time to look at the multiplier and other issues. In the interim, the subcommittee recommended carrying over after incorporation.
You've heard the report and a motion
3-1. Sorry.
and a second. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 13, noes 2.
Ayes 13, noes 2, the bill will be.
We need to move carry over. Yeah. Carry over. That
What
was
was that?
incorporate. That was just incorporate.
I think we need
We
to
did that already.
reconsider that.
So now we move to carry over.
Okay, we've already incorporated, now we need to move to carry the bill over.
I'll make the motion to carry over.
There's a motion and a second to carry the bill over. That is Senate Bill 328. All in favor of the incorporated bill to be carried over, please designate electronically.
Ayes 12, noes 3.
Ayes 12, noes 3. Every once in a while, your car gets off track.
All right, Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 218, is Senator Locke's bill. This related to providing enhanced retirement benefits to certain positions. There was a committee substitute that was recommended that would allow for changes for the enhanced benefit to the animal control officers, with study in the interim to look at municipal park rangers. The recommendation would be to adopt the committee substitute, then recommend reporting on a vote from 4-0.
Okay, the first thing is to adopt the substitute.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and probably seconded that the substitute be agreed to. All in favor say aye. Now motion on the bill.
Move to report.
Now the motion and the second is to report the bill. All in favor of that motion with the substitute, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported with the substitute.
All right, Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 458, is Senator Marsden's bill. This bill is expected to have no fiscal impact and would lessen VRS's burden, had to do with allowing Space Force to be listed as one of the branches that could purchase active duty military service, and it also made some technical changes related to escalated accounts at the Treasury at VRS's discretion. The recommendation of the subcommittee was reporting 4-0.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All in favor, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 396, is Senator McDougal's bill related to retirement allowances for certain judges under VRS. Senator McDougal presented a patron sub, which would provide a 1.7 multiplier and a 3.5 service multiplier for each month of service for judges 55 years and older upon initial election, with an effective date of July 1, 2024. The subcommittee recommended adopting the substitute and then reporting 4-0.
It's been moved and probably second that the substitute be agreed to. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Move to report.
Now the motion is to report the bill. All in favor of reporting the bill with a substitute, please designate it electronic.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported with the substitute.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 466, Senator Obenshain's bill. This relates to the Line of Duty Act and campus police officers and private police officers. This bill would provide employees of contributing nonprofit and private institutions of higher education and contributing private police departments with the benefits granted under the Line of Duty Act and certain other things. In this subcommittee, it was recommended that the body adopt an enactment clause that would require those participating to pay for the implementation costs, and then the recommendation would be after amending report 4-0.
There's a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then there is a motion.
Motion to report.
To report. And a second as amended. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported with the amendment.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 622, is Senator Pillion's bill. I believe there was an administrative fix to this, and the patron planned to strike the bill. And
At the request of the patron, the bill will be stricken. And so and a second. And so we need to vote electronically to strike at the request of the patron. All in favor, designate aye or no. I'm gonna make him keep it.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The motion to have the bill stricken by the patron has been agreed to.
Madam Chair, the final bill in this subcommittee report is Senate Bill 649, Senator Saleem's bill. This has to do with payments of benefits under the Line of Duty Act. It increases from $25,000. There's at first the committee recommended a series of amendments or a substitute. I'll ask Stephen to clarify. A substitute, thank you, Stephen. A substitute that would increase from $25,000 to $50,000, the death of the benefit payout under the Line of Duty Act for death caused by occupational cancer, respiratory disease, hypertension, or heart disease for those deaths. I believe we also needed to incorporate into that substitute the date of January 1, 2025. And then the agreement was to adopt that substitute and then recommend reporting 4-0.
I first need a motion on the substitute. It's been moved and properly seconded that the substitute be agreed to. All in favor say aye. Aye. Now I need a motion to report and second. Second. With the substitute. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. Senate Bill 649 will be reported with the substitute.
This bill is not higher. If you want to go to Senate Bill 436.
Okay, I see we have our patron to return to the room. Senator Suderline, are you here? Senator Suderline, you have Senate Bill 436.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 436 makes some changes to our workforce. It's basically a continuation of Senator Ruff's work last year, likely something he would have been carrying had he been here with us this year. One of the changes is we're changing from a director of the Department of Workforce Development and Advancement to commissioner. We also are making changes with the Apprentice Council. We're adding 2 employee representatives, and there's several other, largely minor changes. So we had a large hearing at the Standing Committee on General Laws. So I don't know what fiscal questions I might get, but here I am.
I don't know if there are any. Let me turn attention to the committee. No questions, comment?
Madam Chair?
Senator Eben?
Yeah, I would note there is no fiscal impact noted and move to report if it's appropriate.
Second.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your motion.
Move to report.
And there's a second.
Madam Chair, I have a substitute motion.
Senator Locke, your substitute motion would be?
Move that we carry this over for the year.
Second.
It's been moved and second that the bill be carried over for the year. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 7, noes 8.
Ayes 7, noes 8. That motion fails. What was the previous motion?
Report.
The previous motion was to report. Staff, did you have any? Okay. Okay, the motion is to report Senate Bill 436. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 10, noes 5.
Ayes 10, noes 5. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair and
You're
Committee.
very welcome, Senator Solano. I still have Senator Sturtevant with Senate in this block with Senate Bill 384. Is he here? Okay, let me move. Okay, now we will move to HHR. And that report is going to be given by staff. Mike?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the HHR subcommittee report is on the yellow packet before you. So the first bill is Senate Bill 177 by Senator Favola. This deals with basically allowing the state psychiatric hospitals to utilize 12-hour shifts for their nursing staff. There was some concerns by the subcommittee about exactly how it'd be implemented. So there's the subcommittee recommended amending the bill with the delayed enactment and have them report back on any implementation issues by December 1st, and then report the bill 6 yes, 0 no.
We have people in queue. Senator Deeds?
After the meeting, the department expressed confidence in being able to implement this plan quicker than 1 year. So I would move that we actually change the enactment date from 12 months to 6 months. Give them an extra 6 months to get this done. So make this effective January 1.
Second.
Is that right? Yeah.
You've heard the motion, you've heard the second. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Aye. Then I move to report the bill as amended.
Now the motion is to report the bill as amended. All in favor, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported as amended.
The next bill, Madam Chair, is Senate Bill 179, also by Senator Favola. So this deals with allowing the state, 3 of the state psychiatric hospitals that when any person that's been admitted with 30 days less after admission, that the state hospital would do discharge planning for them rather than the CSBs. The bill has a minimal fiscal impact that can be absorbed, and the subcommittee recommends reporting the bill 6 yes, 0 no.
So I move.
It's been moved and second that the bill be reported. All in favor of reporting Senate Bill 179, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported. Mike?
The next bill is Senate Bill 280 by Senator Hashmi. So this bill deals basically with medical aid and ending a patient's life. It only has its fiscal impact is simply a Woodrum amendment. The subcommittee recommended reporting the bill 4 yes, 2 no.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor, please designate electronically. Yea or nay?
Ayes 10, noes 5.
Ayes 10, noes 5. The bill will be reported.
The next bill, Madam Chair, is Senate Bill 70 by Senator McPike. So this bill would, for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, would direct that all localities would offer the employment and training component, which is limited now. The subcommittee recommended amendment to say from such funds appropriated, and they recommended reporting the bill 6 yes, 0 no.
Move the amendment.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that the amendment be agreed to. All in favor say aye. Aye. Another motion?
Move the report as amended.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported as amended. All in favor, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported with amendment.
The next bill is Senate Bill 620 by Senator Pillion. So this deals with PACE programs. Essentially, it says that if the state screening team for long-term care services can't conduct the screening within 30 days, that the PACE provider can actually conduct the screening. It has no fiscal impact, so the subcommittee recommended reporting the bill 6 yes, 0 no.
I move the report.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. Thank you. The bill will be reported.
The next bill is Senate Bill 291 by Senator Rome. So this basically directs the Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services to develop and provide training for court-appointed guardians starting July 1st of 2025. The subcommittee recommends reporting the bill 6 yes, 0 no.
I'm so moved.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor, please vote electronically.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported. Senator Favola, you've been in queue for about 3 minutes. Okay, thank you.
I'm having trouble with my technology.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, the last bill is Senate Bill 312 by Senator Salim. So this bill directed the Department of Aging and Rehabilitative Services to establish an office of the independent living community, basically an ombudsman office. He had a patron substitute to sort of roll this into another ombudsman, but due to different concerns about how it would be implemented and of course the fiscal impact, the subcommittee recommended the bill be continued to 6 yes, 0 no.
I so moved.
It has been moved and probably second that the bill be continued. All in favor of continuing Senate Bill 312, please designate electronically. Yes or no?
Ayes 14, noes 1.
Ayes 14, noes 1. The bill will be continued. And I think that completes the HHR block. And now,
Start events here.
oh my gosh, I called for you 3 times. Now you're here. 3 times a charm. Please join us.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Sturtevant, present your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is, I believe, Senate Bill
384.
384, and this is a human smuggling bill. It reported from courts and reported from the Finance Subcommittee, I believe both unanimously, and then I think it was before this body last week, and there were some questions, which I'm happy to answer if there are any. But this is a bill that, to help address the human trafficking that we have in Virginia, there are many, many instances of human trafficking, but the number of prosecutions that we're able to do at the federal, state level are limited because current law requires proof of either trafficking for prostitution or trafficking for forced labor. What this bill would simply do is make it easier to prosecute these cases where you just have to prove that the person is likely to be exploited. And that's what a lot of these human trafficking groups have shown. The Human Trafficking Institute notes that coercion is one of the most complex elements to prove in a human trafficking case. And so this bill seeks to just give our state prosecutors another tool to help deal with human trafficking. Madam Chair.
Thank you for that second presentation, Senator Sturtevant. And I have here in my notes that there was a member of the committee who had a question, which is the reason why it passed by for the week. And so I'd ask now if there are any questions.
Madam Chairman.
Senator Servo.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Was it you?
Well, I've been asking lots of questions, but in committee, one of the questions I had, question for the patron, is that all right?
Yes, go right ahead.
I mean, this is already illegal under federal law. These people can already be prosecuted under federal law for the exact same thing. And so we're basically just adding to the menu of responsibilities for the state on something that's normally a federal headache, right? I mean, it seems to me we can already prosecute this federally, right?
Madam Chair, Senator Surville, I would say this does not identically track what federal law has anti-human smuggling and anti-human trafficking legislation. The area that we're missing, though, that I think why this bill is needed is that in 2021 and 2022, the number of prosecutions in federal court in Virginia for these crimes were in the single digits. 1 year it was 4, 1 year it was 6. Mm-hmm. And so the National Human Trafficking Hotline reports that there are about 150 of the human trafficking hits to the or calls to the human trafficking hotline. So there's a major delta between the trafficking versus what's actually getting prosecuted. So this is to help help the state
support our federal partners in these prosecutions.
Madam Chairman. Oh, Servo.
Senator Servo, I'm hearing you, but I'm looking at my queue, and I have Senator Reeves and
Sorry,
McNeil, so I'll let you continue.
Just speaking of the bill,
And then I will go to Senator Reeves and then Senator McNeil.
I appreciate that a lot of people think this is a concern. If you look at the Virginia State Police report, the number of crimes in Virginia that were prosecuted on this is like, I think, less than 24 per year or something like that. To me, the issue is not a lack of things to prosecute or sections to prosecute people under. It has to do more with interdiction and law enforcement, not catching people. And I don't think the lack of catching people has to do with our laws being inadequate. So from my perspective, I kind of question the need for another law in the books. That was where my concern came from.
May I briefly respond to that, Madam Chair? Madam Chair, to Senator Searleville's point, I think the issue why you're not seeing more of those prosecutions is because the current law requires the added elements of proving that there is a prostitution ring that's being used for forced prostitution or forced labor. And that added element and the necessary investigation and resources that have to go into the proving that make it difficult to bring these cases, which is why allowing our prosecutors to just simply have to prove that the person is being exploited or likely to be exploited will result in, I suspect, more opportunities to get these bad guys away from trafficking people.
Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just speaking briefly to the bill, if I can. It's been a number of years, but I used to work vice narcotics in Prince William County, and I had set up on a house that we knew was a house of ill repute. And the challenge that we had in proving the case was the Johns would see a guy out in the driveway, they would go in, they would come back out. When we served a search warrant on the place, it was certainly a house of ill repute, but there was no cash, and none of the women that were being exploited had cash on them, but they all had popsicle sticks of different color. And what would happen is we found out that the Johns would come up and see the guy that was in charge, the pimp, if you want to call him, or whoever. It was a El Salvadorian gang member, MS-13, that were running these ladies. And they would, whatever color popsicle was what you got as far as sexual acts. And so they would go in and they would give them a red or a blue or whatever the color was, and that lady would perform that act, and no money ever switched hands with the actual lady. So it was a very difficult case to prove. We couldn't prove it, and this would certainly help in those types of situations. It wasn't a joint federal task force. It was local PD trying to clean up a call in the neighborhood from a house. And so I think this is a good bill. This is something we can use. So I'd ask that we support it.
Madam Chairman, I hear what Senator Serval is saying, but one of the things we heard in reference to other bills involving auto sears is that sometimes just because there's a federal statute on the books doesn't necessarily mean that those are the individuals that are in place to be able to prosecute these matters. And so, Madam Chairman, unfortunately, as we've seen shifts now, there are organized groups that do it, but there are also individuals that bring people from other states through our state in order to make money from them. And that is something that we shouldn't permit and should make sure that our local prosecutors have the ability to prosecute as well. So at the appropriate time, I'm going to make a motion to report, Madam Chairman.
I think that would be the time. There's a motion and a second that the bill be recommended for reporting. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 9, no 6.
Ayes 9, no 6. The bill will be reported.
Thank you, Madam
Thank
Chair.
you for coming back, Senator Sturtevant.
Thank you, ma'am.
Didn't go to that capital outlay.
We're going to move to another block, and that's going to be with Capital Outlay and Transportation Subcommittee report. And Tyler, I'm going to ask if you would give that report, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. For members, this is on the gold paper. The first bill, Senate Bill 535, Senator Bagby, expands the definition of school crossing zones. The subcommittee recommends reporting 4 yes, 2 no.
So moved.
You've heard the motion and second that the bill be reported. All in favor, please designate electronically. Thank you. Tyler. No, I'm sorry, report from the clerk.
Ayes 13, noes 2.
Ayes 13, noes 2. The bill will be reported.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 584, Senator Deeds. This relates to the establishment of a General Services Board to oversee the Department of General Services. The subcommittee recommends adopting amendments. One amendment is technical and aligning the terms of the board, and then the second one is a policy to reduce the number of meetings from monthly to at least 6 meetings a year.
Senator Deeds moves the amendment, and it's been seconded by Senator McPike. All in favor say aye. Aye. No, same right.
Now move to report.
Senator Deeds moves, and there's a second by Senator Favola that the bill be reported with the amendment. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported with the amendment.
Hold on, can we redo the vote? Can we reconsider the vote?
Yeah.
Madam
Having
Chair.
voted on the prevailing side, I move that we reconsider the vote.
All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. We need to do this electronically. We need to be on record.
There's certain people that didn't realize that they've got a reason to vote a different way. I appreciate that.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Now
Ayes 15, no 0.
move to report.
Upon reconsideration, the bill is to report. All in favor, and a second. All in favor of that motion?
Ayes 10, noes 5.
Ayes 10, noes 5. The bill will be reported with the amendment.
Next, Madam Chair, the subcommittee recommends incorporating Senate Bill 601, Madam Chair, your bill, into Senate Bill 585.
It has been moved and second that the bills be incorporated. All in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. And now they're incorporated. Do we need electronic?
Yes. Yes.
Let's do that electronically. It's my bill I was trying to escape.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be incorporated. And now we need a motion.
Move to report.
No.
It is,
Madam Chair, you incorporated your bill into Senate Bill 585, and then the subcommittee recommends adopting a substitute to Senate Bill 585 and reporting.
Move to report.
it's been moved and seconded that the bill be,
We got to adopt the substitute.
I thought we did that.
Do we adopt the substitute? Incorporate.
Okay, we incorporate. Now we need to adopt the substitute. It has been moved and seconded that the substitute now be adopted. All in favor of that motion, let's record electronically. We can say aye. Yes, we can say aye. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Now move to report the substitute.
Now it has been moved and seconded that the bill be reported with the substitute. All in favor of that motion on my bill, please designate electronically. Thank you.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported with a substitute. Tyler.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 198, Senator Diggs, relates to collector motor vehicles license plates. The subcommittee recommends continuing the bill, 5 yes, 1 no.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be recommended for continuation. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 11, noes 4.
Ayes 11, noes 4. The bill will be continued.
Madam Chair, the next bill is Senate Bill 79, Senator Favola, requiring certain infrastructure for renewable energy systems to be included in design for executive branch agency and institution projects. Unfortunately, Senator Favola was chairing her committee that morning, so there was no recommendation made on the bill. But Madam Chair, you do have a committee substitute.
Move the substitute.
You've heard the motion to move the substitute. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Madam,
Now we need a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, we need staff attorney to present the substitute.
Bill wasn't presented to subcommittee.
Okay. Madam Chair, the substitute removes the language photovoltaic solar panels are the primary choice for on-site renewable energy systems in two places. It delays the effective date of the first enactment of the Act to projects entering the design phase on or after January 1st, 2026, and where the legislative scope of such projects incorporates design elements and costs related to the infrastructure necessary for renewable energy systems.
She does. You do want her to present her bill.
Senator Favola.
Madam Chair, I don't know of any opposition to this bill. I did work with the General Services Administration, the Department of Energy, and a number of other stakeholders. The state representatives told me that this bill actually sort of codifies their current policies. And I don't have a fiscal statement. I have one that says there is no impact, but I will defer to staff. I do hope it is the will of the committee to move forward.
Staff can answer that question for you.
Madam Chair, Senator Favola, I do believe the fiscal impact was revised by the Department of Planning and Budget, but the initial impact related if they were to require solar panels would increase project costs by $5 million to $25 million, depending on the project and the size of the project.
Substitute.
And the substitute instead requires that the project's legislative scope include the funding and the authorization for these renewable infrastructure elements if it's been approved by the General Assembly as such.
You've heard the recommendation from staff?
Move to report.
Yes.
It has been moved and seconded that the bill be reported with the substitute. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 10, noes 5.
Ayes 10, noes 5. The bill will be reported with the substitute.
Madam Chair, the next bill is Senate Bill 599. This is your bill, Madam Chair, for relating to bonds for public institutions of higher learning. These are the 9C bonds that constitute tax-supported debt but have no impact on debt capacity because they're backed by revenue streams from the higher ed institutions. The subcommittee's recommendation is to adopt amendments and report. The amendments are purely technical.
To adopt the technical amendments.
There's a motion and a second to adopt the technical amendments. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye.
Now move to report as amended.
There's a motion to report as amended. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, noes 0. The bill will be reported with the amendment.
Madam Chair, the next bill, Senate Bill 452, Senator Marsden, relates to the motor vehicle dealer's exam for independent dealers. The subcommittee recommends reporting 6 yes, 0 no.
So moved.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, noes 0. The bill will be reported.
Madam Chair, this last bill is Senate Bill 611, Supermanium, related to the Dulles Greenway. The subcommittee made no recommendation on the bill as the patron was not able to present the bill, and today the patron is asking the bill go by for the day.
You've heard the report in the form of a motion.
I move that the bill go by for the day.
It's been moved and seconded that the bills go by for the day. All in favor, I think we need to record this electronically. We're going to say aye. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
We shall continue with the member reports, and we will start with Senate Bill 411. Senator Boysko.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam Chair. 411 is builds on our efforts from previous sessions to implement some measures of transparency in animal testing at our publicly funded institutions. This bill, this substitute, which we have before us, reflects a compromise between the stakeholders, our animal protection advocates, and our institutions of higher learning, which came together and agreed on a path forward with the gracious help of the subcommittee chair, Senator Favola. It comes before the committee because the bill as introduced required a budget amendment. However, this bill in its current form have no budget impact. And the fiscal impact statement notes that all responsibilities associated with the establishment of a task force can be absorbed by the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services and the State Council for Higher Education. The bill in its current form has no fiscal impact. It was reported unanimously out of Agricultural Committee, and I ask that you pass it on, report favorably. Thank you.
Senator Favola, I see you in queue to ask Senator Boysko a question. Is it your equipment again?
I think it's my equipment again, and I apologize. It's the ghost that knows she wants to say something.
I will second the motion. I think the motion is to report the bill.
That is correct.
And we had a very robust meeting with stakeholders, and the institution said they could absorb the cost of staffing the task force. So I do hope it's the will of the committee to vote for the bill.
You've heard the motion and the second. All in favor of reporting the bill, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported. We're down to 6 more bills. The committee is doing real well as long as you don't talk too much. So on to the next bill, and that will be Senate Bill 234. Senator Hashmi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. SB 234 is an effort to address the heavily increasing electric demand that we are all facing all across the Commonwealth. And it is to do that by promoting and supporting solar projects on parking lots. This is particularly important to our farming and agricultural communities as well. It is an effort to protect prime agricultural and forest land so that we are using existing spaces in order to increase the supply of energy that's offered through renewable energy such as solar. This particular bill is in continuing conversation. We did have a meeting just before this Finance Committee meeting, and I think we're in agreement with the stakeholders, specifically with Dominion Energy. There is an agreement, and if the bill goes forward, if it's the will of the committee, there will be a floor amendment to address some of the concerns. Now,
You're correct, Senator Hashmi. There is a substitute that makes it a grant, and I'd like to turn to staff. April, could you please explain that? Or Stephen can do that one.
Madam Chair, the substitute, as you stated, just gets rid of the fund component of the bill, so it's solely a grant program from funds that are appropriated, keeps the definitions, and keeps the annual reporting requirement that is in subsection G of the bill as it came to us, but otherwise it removes everything else.
It has been moved and seconded that the substitute be agreed to. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Move to report the substitute.
It has been moved and probably seconded that the bill be reported with the substitute. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 13, noes 2.
Ayes 13, noes 2. The bill will be reported with the substitute. Next bill is Senator Marsden. You have Senate Bill 453. And you have a committee sub?
I do, Madam Chair. This comes to us from...
We'll have a staff attorney to explain that to us.
Okay.
Or either April, can you do it, either one?
Madam Chair, the committee substitute would remove language related to the credit card fee and service charge.
Okay. That's the only change. Okay. You've heard the substitute. I need a motion. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. The substitute be agreed to. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now I need a motion.
Move to report.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor of reporting with the substitute, please designate electronically. Senator Marston, you have a second bill, Senate Bill 733.
I do, Madam Chair. And this is in regards to shifting the Chief Resilience Officer from the Secretary of Natural Resources to the Governor's Office, and would require some additional positions. But the reason it's being moved there is because you deal with so many different agencies and so many different secretariats that it was felt that it was better in the Governor's Office than just in one secretariat. Gave it greater clout with working with everyone to prepare for natural disasters, deal with the resilience, make plans, deal with grants, and it's I think a good maneuver. There is I believe a budget amendment in place, and I would move that the bill report.
Second.
You heard the motion.
Is there a substitute?
The substitute motion is that the bill be carried over. Substitute motion takes precedence. All in favor of that motion, and I did get here a second. Please. I did hear a second, didn't I? Okay, all right. All in favor of the substitute motion? Please designate electronically.
Ayes 7, noes 8.
Ayes 7, noes 8. That motion does not pass. The original motion?
Yeah, revert to my motion to report the bill.
Madam Chair.
Senator Dees?
Does this, if we report the bill, does that mean we have to fund it? $800,000 a year?
Madam Chair?
Senator Marston?
I think that is also a decision that can be made during the budget process as to whether to fund, but I think this is an important notion with climate change and the flooding that we're experiencing here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We just need a more coordinated effort to do this, and let's see what we can do in the budget process to fund this, and if it's chosen that we can't do that, that's another matter. But I think this does need to be moved to the Governor's office.
Madam Chair.
I heard two things. I heard you say that this is going to be moved to the Governor's office. I see Senator Favola, MQ. I hear Senator Serval's voice. I see NQ Senator McDougal, so I'm going to Favola, McDougal, and then Senator Serval. I'm only going to go by what's in.
I was just going to reconsider that motion, which might end all this, but okay, we can do that.
Okay, and maybe my comment will help. I was involved in actually transferring things from the Board of Pharmacy over to CA, and what we did is we actually transferred people. So I'm wondering if we can actually transfer some folks and rather than funding new positions, if you will. So I think that needs to be in the mix here.
Senator Serval, McDougal, and Marston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Having voted on the prevailing side by which we just rejected the motion to PBI, I'd move to reconsider that motion.
Carry over.
Whatever it was. Yeah, whatever it was. I'll move to reconsider it.
Okay, we need a motion to reconsider. Okay, there's a motion and a second to reconsider the vote. All in favor of that motion? Do we want to do this electronically?
We just renew the motion to carry over.
We just renew the
After reconsideration.
Yes.
Doesn't need to be reconsidered. Madam Chair, I think Senator Serval renews the motion to carry over.
Don't we have to reconsider first?
No, she's saying you don't.
Okay, we don't have to, that's fine.
Say again.
If we don't have to, then I would renew the motion to carry over again if we don't have to reconsider.
Okay. Senator McDougal.
Madam Chairman, I think it might be cleaner to reconsider it.
That's what I thought.
We've done in the past.
Well, okay, let's go and take the vote to reconsider.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. For the record, we are now reconsidering the vote. Previous vote. Senator McDougal, Senator, was it your motion, Senator Serval?
It was Deeds' motion, wasn't it?
Renew the motion. I renew the motion to carry the bill over. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be carried over. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 13, noes 2.
Ayes 13, noes 2. The bill will be carried over.
See,
We have 3 more bills. We can make it. Senate, we're going to go to Senate Bill 7. Senator Reeves, you can start us off.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a pretty simple bill. It also has encompassed Senator Bagby and Subramanian's bill into this bill. It just adds ethnic origin as a basis of potential for discrimination to the Virginia Human Rights Act.
You've heard the report of the bill
Move to report.
from the bill. Senator Locke has a question.
Senator Reeves, Madam Chair, Senator Reeves, what exactly does that mean?
Turn your mic on.
The bill, as currently written, will expound upon the fact that it'll allow people, based on their ethnic origin, maybe look differently than what their ethnic origin is. So if somebody came in and was, trying to find the right term, prejudicial against them or taking some kind of action against them based off of their ethnic origin, say from a certain region or a certain set of people, this would allow that not to happen. I'm trying to think of a specific example, and I'm kind of drawing blank because I'm a little bit tired. But
Madam Chair.
Senator Serval.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just want to remind the body, we heard this bill last year, passed the Senate unanimously in identical format. Ethnic origin, I think, refers to a group of people that share a common set of characteristics, habits, and culture. The testimony we heard in committee was that it could, for example, refer to the Jewish people, not necessarily their religion, but their Jewish ethnicity. It could refer to people who are Hispanic. It could refer to people like Uyghurs and others, because not certain categories of people don't necessarily categorize as a race. And so I think that if right now there's certain people that aren't covered by hate crimes, and the idea was to pick that up. That's why we heard it last year. Again, it passed this body 39-0 last year.
as long as they cover white trash.
Did I hear a motion?
Yeah.
And a second?
Second.
That the bill be reported? All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically. I won't tell them what you said.
I'm covered.
Ayes 10, noes 0, 2 abstentions.
Ayes 10, nays 0, 2 abstentions, and some people are gone. Senate Bill 3, it's reported. The next one is Senate Bill 337, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam
As a
Chair,
matter of fact, Senator Stewart, the last 2 bills on the docket are yours.
I'll be quick.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Senate Bill 337 essentially would direct the Water Board to continue to allow a neighborhood in Northern Virginia to continue their wells on the current aquifer until the industrial use, which is next door, has ceased for 5 years and the aquifer can be reevaluated. And so the situation is there's 100 and some homes in a neighborhood in Fairfax County. They are being forced to get off of groundwater, and there's a golf course right next door that's watering the golf course. And this bill would reverse that. And that's the long and short of it.
It has been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 13, noes 0, 1 abstention.
Excuse me. Ayes, I lost The motion. The bill is reported. Senator Stewart,
Thank you.
last bill, and then we're out.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 673 really is an extension of the first bill. There are many of us in the Eastern Virginia groundwater management area, where I live in King George, where the chair, Madam Chair lives, and others. The aquifer is going down pretty quickly, and we're not really sure what we're going to do about it. In King George, we've been told we're going to have to get off of wells in the very near future, and there's a lot of competition for water. So what this bill essentially says is DEQ should prioritize water for human consumption and food production, and that encompasses agriculture, seafood, what we need to drink and live. There's another bill that's actually coming through because DEQ doesn't have the ability to use any of this information, and they really don't know how big the pie is that we have to use for water. That'll come through later in the week, and that directs them to actually determine how much water there is for everybody, because while we've had a lot in the past, we don't have it anymore. For instance, Hampton has started a really important project where they are injecting water back into the aquifer that was clean from sewer water, believe it or not. But that aquifer is already gone down such that there's a problem, and we can't continue to kick the can down the road.
Madam Chair,
Senator Dean.
I agree that we can't kick the can down the road, and I agree with the purpose of this bill. But I'm afraid that there are implications to this that we just haven't really thought about. And I'd move to carry the bill over and send it to the Water Commission for review.
And Madam Chair, if I can just respond to that very quickly.
Senator Stewart.
We've done that for the past 14 years. We've had the Water Commission study this issue. We know that the aquifer is in such bad shape now. That's why the folks in the neighborhood in Fairfax were going to be forced to get off the aquifer. And it's moving its way down. In Virginia Beach, they already have saltwater infiltration, and they got to figure out ways for people to get drinking water. So I understand the committee acts on a vote, but I will tell you this is a really important bill. It has no fiscal impact, and it's something we need to do now so we can get in a room and talk about this problem, because everybody's going to have to make some sacrifices.
Senator Dees.
Madam Chair, I don't have any doubt that people need to get in a room and the importance of this bill. My concern is that this legislation, the way it's written, could cut off any sort of economic opportunities that might arise in the eastern part of the state.
And Madam Chair, again, these permits that are out there last for up to 15 to 20 years. So if you pass this bill today, we got plenty of time to talk about it and get all the stakeholders in the room. And as much as I respect Senator Deeds, and I know why he's doing what he's doing, if we don't force people to the table, we're going to continue studying it for the next 10 years, and people who now have a well and rely on that water are going to be forced to get off of that well, and that's just not fair.
I don't want that to happen.
Senator Dees, you have a motion?
I move to carry the bill over. Madam Chair, if you want to create a special subcommittee to take a look at this, if you think that would be a better way to handle it than the Water Commission, I was trying to think of somebody that could.
Madam Chair, the problem is this has been before the Water Commission since I got elected 16
Madam
years
Chair,
ago.
then I would modify
16 years ago.
I would modify my motion to say to carry it over and have it examined by a special subcommittee that the chair establishes, and make sure Senator Stewart's on that subcommittee.
He'll be chair.
Okay.
Madam Chairman.
Put Senator Servell on there too. He didn't have anything else to do.
Senator
As I think the only member in Fairfax County who actually lives on the Eastern Groundwater Management Area, because everybody else lives to the west of me in 95 and doesn't have to worry about this problem. I second everything Senator Stewart said, and I would just note, I believe there's a pending budget amendment asking us to look at this more deeply and also to examine the possibility of creating an interstate compact on this problem, because it's a problem from New York to Georgia, and it's an opportunity for us to lead so that Maryland doesn't keep stealing our water. And so there's other discussions going on as well, and I think we'll continue talking about this. But I think the budget amendment also addresses a little bit of this. So anyway, I concur with everything Senator
Like the two
Stewart
of you are
said.
going to have a lot of fun on that committee together.
Yeah,
We
a lot
do
of
have
water.
a motion and a second to Senator Deeds' motion. All in favor will please designate electronically to have it continued, and that there will be a committee established to further dig into the weeds.
The chair.
With the chair being Senator Stewart and the co-chair being Senator Serval, and if there are other members who will be appointed, we'll do that at a later hour. All in favor of that motion, please vote electronically. Oh, Senators, you don't want to be the chair?
They want to pass.
Ayes 7, noes 8.
Ayes 7, noes 8. Can we move back to the previous motion?
It wasn't a previous.
It wasn't a previous motion. Okay,
Move to
that
report.
motion failed. There's a motion to report. Senate Bill 673.
Question, Madam Chair?
Senator Favola.
And maybe this is for staff, will a report be provided to the General Assembly on?
That should be a part of.
Madam Chair, that's a different bill. That's coming through on Friday that asked DEQ to do this work.
Okay.
And I put a
Separate
budget
bill.
amendment in for that. This is just kind of maintain the status quo until we can get the information that we need. That's all this bill really does.
I'm going to ask the Chair of Ag and Natural Resources to send a letter asking for a report. Because I think we should know about this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
We incorporate that into the motion?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So amended.
You've heard the revised or amended motion. All in favor of reporting the amendment to the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Now I need a motion to report the amended motion.
Second.
And second, that the bill be reported as amended. All in favor of that motion, please designate electronically.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill will be reported with all of what you heard about it. That being the last bill, let me see if this works. It worked.
You're going to have to write a letter with a date and all.
Madam Chair.
That works.
That works.